Hello and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today I wanted to take a minute to do a quick video. I just read an article that said that Square Enix is kind of upset right now. Final Fantasy 16 isn't the pre-orders aren't doing too well at the moment, and they're starting to kind of panic about that. And I just kind of wanted to put in my 2 cents, seeing as I'm a pretty big Square Enix fan. Like I like a lot of the stuff that they create. My affinity for Square Enix goes all the way back to the regular Nintendo days, all the way through Super Nintendo. Every console they've put games on, I have bought a significant amount of those titles and played those titles. So Square Enix has always been a pretty big part of my gaming habits, and they probably always will be. Where a lot of people find a lot of problems with, Square Enix titles, especially lately. Um, you know, there's a lot more. I think a lot more of it has to do with the fact that Square Enix appears to be playing favorites with the PlayStation platform. It would have been pretty dramatic for me had I started this generation and not bought a PlayStation and an Xbox, so that I could play these games. I would have missed out on a lot of my favorite franchises that Square Enix is responsible for bringing to light. Had I only went with Xbox this generation, so I can kind of understand, like the the politics of the situation going on right now. PlayStation having the dominant brand, having multiple consoles out there. Square Enix, trying to trying to put themselves in a position to try to cash in on as much of that and to help propel the PlayStation platform and make it bigger and help the install base grow stronger. The whole Jim Ryan thing with the virtuous cycles nonsense that dude spewed. Gamers want to play games, and gamers don't want to be tied to whatever platform is whatever. They don't want to be tied to a platform. Third party companies like Square Enix, they tend to shoot themselves in the foot with fans when they do this, because let's face it, man, if you're one of the mini gamers out there that can only afford to go with one platform, you're you're uh you're gonna end up eventually just kind of writing certain people off, certain companies off as well, if they don't want my money, whatever, I can't afford to go out and buy another system. I'm not going to trade this one in to buy that one just so I could play one game. Whereas, there are certain games out there that people will buy a platform just to play. And, I, and I think about this as I'm sitting here and I'm playing through Diablo 4 right now. Had this game been exclusive to like Xbox and the PlayStation fan base wasn't able to play it, I don't think this game would be doing as well as it is right now. And I'll tell you what, man, this game is this game I'm playing right now is by far my favorite ARPG dungeon crawler that I've ever played. This thing is incredible. It's so massive, it's so huge, and I just find myself just completely feeling overwhelmed and like, whoa, man, there's a lot to do in here. And I'm really enjoying that. Like, I'm really enjoying this experience, and I just can't seem to get enough of this. But then when you look at another game, let's talk about Forspoken. If you've been with this channel for a while, you know the Forspoken is definitely one of my favorite games this year. I love Forspoken. There's a lot of things, like people want to sit and nitpick about um the 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 voice acting and the conversations and the stuff like that. And in the greater scheme of things, that to me was probably the lowest thing that mattered to me through that experience. Like, it got the job done. It wasn't like over the top, like, whoa, this is really cool, but it got the job done good enough to where I could enjoy everything else that really makes that experience shine. And I like the fact that Square Enix took the chance and put that game out there. And I see it all the time when more people get into this game and they start playing it and they start experiencing it. They're genuinely really happy with the experience. And I've had multiple people hit me up in my DMs telling me that I'm right and telling me that it's a great game. I've had people hit me up just in the channel and tell me, like, I love this game. And I kind of feel like the push for these media websites and for these YouTubers and for everybody, the push to just be negative and to be first, whether your information is right or not. And then you have the other ones, the ones that I call drive-by YouTubers that don't even play video games, that don't even play these games, and they've always got something to add to the negativity about it. And that really sucks because there are people at Square Enix, at PlayStation, at Xbox, at freaking Arcane Studios that are working tirelessly to build these experiences and try to wow us and bring something out and to make it new, to make it fresh. And every time they try, you got the crowd, the noisy ones that get a lot of clicks and get a lot of coverage because it's negative. You've got those guys out there that consistently bash these games and make it hard for these companies to get a return on their investment. Now I understand that I talk, when I explain things like this, I kind of sound like a company shill or something like that. But here's the honest truth. Here's the honest truth. If you want these companies to continue to invest and build games that you like, you're going to have to support them. You're going to have to you're going to have to pay for these products, and you're going to have to hope that they do better and try to avoid the negative nonsense out there that forces you, not forces you, but encourages you to have a negative outlook on everything that comes out. I try to distance myself away from that stuff as far as possible. When I do my reviews or when I do my videos for these games, it's always on a game that I am interested in. That's why it's pretty easy for me to always genuinely be positive when it comes to these experiences. Because before I even put my videos out, I'll go through the things that might bother me, and then I kind of weigh them out. I'm like, okay, does that bother me enough to like really say something about it, or is it just kind of a, man, I guess I wish they would have done a little bit better on that little aspect. And I do, and I weigh that stuff before I bring that coverage to you guys, because I don't want to sit and bang on about negative stuff that's in these video games, because for the most part, it doesn't matter what video game is out there. You're gonna find things in these that are gonna kind of annoy you a little bit, or they're gonna kind of bug you, or they're gonna kind of lead you to there's always something to complain about. It basically is what I'm saying. There's always something to complain about, and if we worry too much about that, we never really truly sit and enjoy the experience that's in front of us. So I avoid the negative people as much as I can. Like I try to avoid them, and when these guys are going after these games, I do kind of make it a point of mine to look at the game and see if the stuff they're complaining about really bugs me. But what I've found mostly with those games is these guys will find these little problems in the game, and they'll amplify them. They'll really amplify them, and they'll string a bunch of them together, through editing, and they'll string a whole bunch of stuff together, and it will just look like the game is consistently broken. And then when I'm playing through them, because I'm just like you, I buy them at launch, and I'll start the game then. And so when I'm playing through them and I'm not running into any of those problems and I'm questioning them, I'm like, why are these guys even making videos like this if that is not the end result product? And Cyberpunk 2077 is the answer for that. That game came out on base consoles very, very bad. So these guys are going out of their way to find this stuff, like things that normally we would have just laughed at before. We would have made a meme out of it. We would have been like, wow, do you remember like stuff like that? And it was kind of funny. It was kind of cool. And now it's not like that no more. Now it's like this super serious, like, yeah, man, we got to trash this game because of this, and I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. So let me circle back to Final Fantasy 16 not getting the not being able to get the pre-orders that the Square Enix was kind of, hoping for, or, internal projections, stuff like that. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, having that game tied to just one system and no firm date as to when it's going to come to PC, I think that there is two major things, because most people that are going to want to play that on PC, they're not going to buy the PlayStation version. They're not going to waste their time at that. And then you have Xbox guys that would really love to play this game, but they're not going to get to play that. they're not going to get to play that. So that there's already going to cut out a pretty significant part of their base. And if I'm pretty sure, I read on Twitter, you know, ACG put this out there. The statistics for the first game on Xbox, with Final Fantasy 15, sold 1.6 million copies. That's not insignificant. That's not insignificant. And let me tell you right now, man, the PlayStation base that Square Enix and everybody else seems to think that betting their hat on was a smart choice. Man, I mean there's some older gamers like me that will buy these games day one and will play them. But then you've got a lot of people like the younger generation, they're into Fortnite. They're into those cheap, easy to get games that don't cost a whole lot of money up front, that they can play, that they can, you know, nickel and dime themselves on over time. That's what those guys are interested in, and that's why there's a big push from PlayStation and Xbox and everyone to get into the live service games as service games, because those younger generations, that's what they appreciate. They don't appreciate the hardcore, heavy, you know, story driven games with the beautiful visuals and all the hard work and the intricate detail that goes into those experiences. They don't appreciate that like us older gamers do, because we've grown up. We've went from 2D side-scrolling 8-bit pixels all the way up to where we're at right now. So we do appreciate, as these things get better and better and better, we do appreciate that. And so I just don't know if there's as many of us out there that are still willing to buy it on a PlayStation 5 when we could buy it on a PC. You know, I think that the age group for consoles is just it's just kind of turning a little bit. PlayStation really needs to start putting their games on PC day and date, as well as Square Enix and all these other companies, because that's kind of where they're it's kind of where older companies like Square Enix and, you know, like that's kind of where like their fan base is kind of gravitating towards, is those more expensive PCs, so that they can play these games at the resolutions and stuff that they want with their really expensive TVs and all the tech and everything that we're out there buying for these consoles that started disappointing us like a few months after launch. We're like, wait a minute, what's going on, man? Like, what's going on? I thought you said 4K. I thought you said 4K 60, and now we're still getting 30 frames a second in 4K. Like, that's kind of where I'm leaning with this, you know, too. I still love and appreciate my consoles, and I will buy Final Fantasy 16 on the console day one. So I'm a guaranteed buy for them, because I love Final Fantasy, and this medieval setting for this game coupled with Devil May Cry freaking combat. Like, yeah, dude, I'm in. I'm 100% in. I liked 15, but I still kind of found that one a little bit clumsy for the most part. But the way I'm hearing 16, like it's gonna be one of my favorite games this year. I can almost guarantee that, just because of the combat style, the art style, the way things are going, the relevance to, you know, one of my favorite eras of like the world in medieval. So I'm really excited about that, and I cannot wait to start playing that. So yeah, so I do find it, you know, kind of interesting that Square Enix has put themselves in this type of a position, you know. Like I really like it, Square Enix. I'm really rooting for them. I really hope to see them pull through this, but man, I just don't know if tying that ship to PlayStation is the greatest idea in the world, especially for a company that is driven to make profits for shareholders. I really do think that's kind of a dumb idea. Like Jim Ryan has already failed multiple companies with his virtuous cycle, and I would really like to see these guys stop pandering to that and stop holding on to that. Put these games on every console that you can get them on that works good. Like if you can't get this on last gen consoles, don't even worry about that. Put them on the Series S, put them on the Series X, put them on PC. Make sure they launch day and date. Make sure they're good, and make sure they're good. Make sure they're optimized. Make sure they run great, and you will get your money. You will get your money if you build these games and you build them for everybody and you build them good, and there's not that big of a difference, and you fully utilize the consoles and the hardware that you have before you. You will not have a problem getting the money that you desire for these projects, even if it takes a little bit more time. Even if it takes more time, the better the game launches, the more you're gonna the more you're gonna see a return on that investment. So if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.